What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Whoo! Finishing off a big win against division rival Washington Redskins. For starters, I'm just going to say we did exactly what we should have done. Plain and simple. With not downplaying the win, of course, still a big win against a division rival, but we did exactly what we should have done to the Redskins, who are now 0-4. With everyone that was out for them, from two of their very good offensive linemen, and technically three because one of them hasn't even joined the team, and that is Trent Williams. Two of their biggest weapons on offense, that being Terry McLaurin and Jordan Reed. We did exactly what we should have done. It was certainly a trap game, and I'm just very happy we didn't fall into that. Really, overall, I don't have much negative to say, which is, if you're new to the channel, might not seem weird, but I'm always trying to pick out the negative because at the end of the day, I want the Giants to be as good as they possibly can be. So I try to pick out the negative. Some people say I'm overly negative, but when it's a performance like this, I don't really have anything bad to say. This is the official New York Giants versus Washington Redskins post-game review and reactions. Giants improved to 500. We are now 2-2 with this 24-3 victory over those division rivals. First thing I want to say is a few things that I called in this ball game. First of all, if you watch my top 5 things to watch for video, you knew I was high on potentially it being Daniel Jones versus Dwayne Haskins, and that's what we got down the stretch. I thought it was going to be if Washington was down big after half. Turns out they made the move a little bit sooner. Not sure if that was planned, and they just executed poorly and then they made the switch, or if it was something just in the heat of the moment. Either way, obviously, Dwayne Trashkins looked very poor. I'm not going to throw it all on him. It's tough to come into a game and immediately execute and take over after you haven't been working with the first team all week. But miserable performance by Dwayne Haskins. Of course, all the tweets going out about happy we didn't take him, whatever. But yeah, great team win here. I'm just going to go into a quick review of the ball game and give some of my thoughts here. Mentioning my preview video and my top 5 things to watch for video, I brought up Wayne Gallman being a very reliable running back. Now, obviously, we'd love to have Saquon Barkley. We would love him on the field and healthy right now. But Gallman, he filled in about as good as you possibly could. He was very effective from the outset, pretty much being our entire offense this game. Prior to the game, I mentioned that over his career, he did average 4 yards per carry, and he was very effective in the passing game, and he showed that today. He was the recipient of the first touchdown pass of the game from Daniel Jones, and he actually finished with a line of 18 carries for 63 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. And he added 6 catches for 55 yards and a receiving touchdown. So clearly a very, very good game from him, about as good as we could have expected in the absence of Saquon Barkley. Continuing with my pregame assessment, I said, given the circumstances, considering Washington's missing a lot of offensive weapons, we needed to have a shutdown game on defense, and that's exactly what we did. 2 guys I've been very critical on early on in this season, Jabril Peppers and Jordan Jenkins, showed vast improvements from last week to this week. Both men had, Peppers had 2 pass deflections and 1 interception. Jenkins actually had 3 pass deflections and 2 interceptions. But namely Peppers, he had great coverage all day. Very critical of him guarding tight ends and really anyone in his vicinity. He had a great breakup in the end zone, knocking the ball out of the receiver's hands, as well as blanket coverage on his pick 6 interception. So great job from him. Now, sticking with defense and sticking with our secondary, continuing with Jordan Jenkins here, very happy for him. As critical as I have been about him in the past, I do like him as a player. He was one of the best in the league at one time. It's just some people's times, Father Time's undefeated. It comes and goes, especially at the corner position where speed is so essential. Big game for him today. As I mentioned, 2 interceptions, a huge confidence boost for him. And I hope that's all he really needed. He had about as rough of a start to the season as you can possibly have. So this was big for him. Big shutdown performance, limiting the Redskins to under 150 pass yards for a team that was allowing nearly 350 per game and over 460 per game total yardage wise. Continuing with the defense as a whole, though, again, I'm not going to try to take away the performance from the fact that they had so many inactive players. Shutdown, as I mentioned. One negative thing coming out on our defense, Ryan Connolly, who was on his way to legitimately having the best game of his career, had a non-contact knee injury. He was carted off the field. At the time of the injury, he actually had 5 total tackles, 1 interception, and a sack. You hate to see it. We were already paper thin at the interior linebacker position, and that's just something we cannot have at this point. It's really tough. We had to roll with David Mayo and Nate Stupar for the rest of the game. Hopefully Ogletree and Tay Davis, who is actually, although he is battling the concussion, did do some pregame warm-ups, so hopefully one of those guys or both of those guys is back very soon. Of course, with the knee injury, don't really know much to this point. Could even have been an ankle or an Achilles. We certainly hope not. But as you all know, I will keep you up to date on those news if anything comes out about that. But continuing with defense, I have to give a shout out also to our defensive line, who I've also been very critical of, seeing as how pretty much all of our pressure has come from our outside linebackers. But in today's game, BJ Hill, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Dexter Lawrence, although it might not show up on the stat sheet, had an amazing game. Lawrence actually looked like he might have gotten robbed of a sack. He looked like he was in there and it might have been not credited to him. But I will give him credit and the rest of the D-line. There were hands, whether it was Dwayne Haskins or Case Keenum, hands in the face of those quarterbacks all game. Very impressive. Either the quarterback was pressured in the pocket and had to throw it away, or they rolled out of the pocket because there was simply nowhere for them to throw the football because our D linemen were getting in there so quick. So big shout out to them. Tomlinson actually ended up getting half a sack in this ball game. So great job from them. I love to see it. But again, the superstars for this defense, Marcus Golden and young O'Shane Zimenez, both got in for half a sack. It looked like it might have been a whole sack for Golden. But either way, consistently looking like a better and better free agent pickup day by day. He has looked awesome for us, and he continues in this ball game. As I mentioned, getting that half a sack, getting pressure. Love to see it. Really great performance, regardless of the situation for our defense. Very happy, very positive, especially going into a few tough games coming up. Finishing up here with our offense, one criticism I had for Daniel Jones was his pocket awareness and ball security, and he clearly put a focus on that in this ball game. He did a much better job not only protecting the football and himself, but also knowing his surrounding and knowing what's going around in the pocket. I mentioned a couple times now, Washington did have a lot of inactives on offense, but they were pretty much full force on defense, and Daniel Jones did an amazing job handling that. For starters, our offensive line looked better, although consistently throughout the game, I was watching Nate Solder get beat once again, this time by Montez Sweat. For what he's getting paid, it's Daniel Jones escaped the pocket numerous times, but he shouldn't have to as much as he has been. Nate Solder was getting abused. Mike Remmers, just penalty after penalty after penalty. It gave me PTSD flashbacks when they're calling holding or something of the sort on number 74 of the offense. Flashback to Eric Flowers. On a side note, credit where credit was due. He didn't get called as much as I thought he would today. Whatever, he's still not a good player. Anyways, better performance by our offensive line, some penalty issues that we have to work on, but great job by Jalapeno, numerous times blocking. Zeitler, always good. And Will Hernandez, when you don't hear someone's name announced during the game, they're normally doing just fine, and he did just fine. But Jones on multiple occasions showed how athletic he is, escaping the pocket and gaining yards with his legs. Would we like him to be able to just sit in the pocket and throw the ball? Absolutely. That's kind of what player he is. But the ability with his legs is just so refreshing. And on this one I'm showing you here, reminiscent of Eli in the Super Bowl, escaping multiple tacklers, people pulling on his jersey. Obviously, no big pass downfield for a helmet catch, but still, you catch my drift. Amazing escape techniques. Some people call it luck. I'm going to go with it being skill. It's just so refreshing as a Giants fan knowing that if he rolls out of the pocket, the play is not over if all receivers are covered. And it's something we have to get used to. I still find myself, yelling at my television, or when I'm at the game, yelling, get down, get out of bounds, because we're so used to Eli Manning, a couple times scampering out of the pocket, gaining 2 or 3 yards. And it's like the scariest thing in the world because Eli is not an athletic guy. So it's taking some getting used to seeing Daniel Jones get out of the pocket and be effective. He actually finished the game with 3 carries for 35 yards. And as you saw in the one I just showed you, some Houdini-like escapes. Jones's day, not the output that I was hoping for against the Washington defense, still had a pretty decent game overall. He finished 23 for 31 passing for 225 yards and 1 touchdown. Did have 2 interceptions, but if there is a positive you can take away from those interceptions, it was the fact that they didn't hamper him. They didn't scare him into not throwing the ball downfield. He was still taking shots, still going for deeper passes. So that's great to see. It didn't freak him out, I guess, for lack of a better term. It didn't hamper his ability going forward. Some notable pass catchers in this ballgame. Sterling Shepard, 7 receptions for 73 yards, and Evan Ingram had 4 catches for 54 yards. But as I've said, the story of this game was Wayne Gallman. He was pretty much the bulk of our offense. Yes, Daniel Jones had the 225 passing, but I believe it's 116 total for Wayne Gallman in this ball game between running the ball and catching the ball. He showed that he is a very capable back, and I couldn't be happier for him. So in summary, and kind of the theme of this video, we did what we needed to do against a team that we should beat. Historically for the Giants, these are games that we end up losing, but we came through and we came out with a victory going into a tough stretch. We are 2-2, and the next couple of games are going to be very difficult. We play the Minnesota Vikings, followed by the Patriots in Foxborough. Daniel Jones, man, the lights don't get brighter than a primetime game in Foxborough against the Patriots. Let's see if some of that Giants mojo transfers over to Daniel Jones in that ball game. Of course, any news coming in out about Ryan Connolly or any of the other inactives for the Giants, I'll make sure to keep you up to date. As I said, next up is the Minnesota Vikings, so we're going to start looking forward to that. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It would really mean a lot to me, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be on the lookout for my future postings. Normally, I don't post this review video until Monday, but I wanted to get it out to you guys since I had the free time tonight. So tomorrow, I will be posting another episode of Madden NFL 20, Face of the Franchise, Shane Falco. That'll be episode number 2, so be on the lookout for that. Also, check out my pinned tweet on my Twitter and enter the contest for the Devin Bush autographed rookie card. Going to be giving that away once I hit 1,000 YouTube subscribers. But until then, big win for the Giants. We are now 2-2, division win. Couple rough games ahead, but let's just keep the faith and believe in this team who made vast improvements this week. I'll see you in the next one, guys.